Today, I'm going to reveal to you one of the biggest reasons that you drink. And the reason that our drinking goes from being fun, binge drinking, relaxing, to obsessing about it, needing to drink, can't imagine life without it, is because of emotional unmanageability. Now, I'm going to borrow something from the 12 steps of AA because this bit is really important to understand. Now, if you're familiar with the 12 steps, the first one talks about our lives becoming unmanageable. We admitted we had a problem over alcohol and that our lives had become unmanageable. Now, what everyone thinks the unmanageable bit means is exterior, external unmanageability that everybody can see. For example, getting a DUI, falling over drunk, getting fired from another job because you're unreliable, because you're hungover, being visibly hungover a lot. Just like we think like that's unmanageable. And it is, it's not wrong. We can see it. But that is actually not what it's referring to. It's referring to emotional unmanageability. And that's the bit that people cannot see because we are able to mask it and pretend everything is okay. So an alcohol problem shows up on the inside years before it shows up on the outside. And it shows up in emotional unmanageability. So that is the guilt and shame of drinking too much and what you said and what you did and other people noticing and what do other people think, all of that stuff, just heavy feeling of guilt and shame that we all know. Fear, and I have other videos on this about why fear is the engine of an alcohol problem. Resentment, the arguing with yourself, right? The constantly arguing with yourself about whether you're going to drink. I was always planning in my head. I was maybe 65% present with you, but I was planning in my head. If I would go to I don't know, a party or a barbecue, the number one thing I did was scan the alcohol and how many people there were and if there was enough. Hoarded alcohol. I wonder if you've done this too. In certain situations, because I'm there's 10 people here and there's 3 bottles of wine. So constantly doing calculations and protecting your supply of booze, all of that kind of stuff. That is emotional unmanageability, right? It's just all of this stuff going on inside of you and needing something to manage it because you can't manage it yourself. I could not manage my emotions, my interior life. Now, let me just say something about this. Everybody has this. Your interior life. And what I mean by that is your thoughts, your feelings, what goes on inside of you, right? Nobody knows what goes on inside of you. Just none of us know, right? Your interior life, this is the home that I live in, right? I cannot escape this. Your interior life is the most important thing there is. There's nothing more important than making sure you take care of that and that you have some degree of calm and peace and safety and manageability. Because living any other way is pretty awful. It's pretty awful. So that's the work. Now, lots of us, I didn't grow up in an environment or a culture where I was taught the skills of emotional manageability. I wasn't taught how to deal with my feelings, how to deal with my emotions. I just wasn't taught those things. You may not have been either. So I remember as a young person, like a teenager, I don't know, maybe a little bit, I had experienced a little bit of mild bullying or rejection or, something just frightening happening. I didn't know how to navigate that. So I just hid it and pushed it down. That was all I knew how to do. Hide it and push it down. And that became a habit. Hiding how you feel, pushing it down, pretending everything's fine. Yeah, fine, good. Yeah, thank you. All the while there was a maelstrom, a tornado, just a storm inside of me. And on the outside, I did not show that. We call that, by the way, incongruence. And what we want with emotional sobriety is we want congruence. We want our insides and our outsides to match. My insides and my outsides didn't match. By the way, if you're watching this, please follow and subscribe and like. It really helps with the videos getting seen by more people. And if you need help, there should be a link to a program below, which all of my tools and strategies for dealing with this stuff are in there. So that doesn't mean that everybody should know everything about you, right? It doesn't mean that you are transparent to the world and everybody knows what is going on. Because, we're humans having human experiences, and, you may be thinking deeply about something or got some kind of emotional thing going on, right? That's normal. But we don't want to, and we all have to navigate the world, right? We'll have to, go to the grocery store. We don't want to, but we want to be able to navigate the world authentically and congruently, because I'm going to tell you this, it feels so much better. It's a much, 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 much better experience if you can do that. So these are skills that you can learn, and you can learn them anytime you want. All of the stuff that I teach, by the way, that's what I teach, is emotional sobriety, is these skills. And it takes effort and it takes consistency, but I don't believe there's a better way. It is such a better way to live, to be congruent, right? So what that means is, in certain situations with certain people, I don't have to hide that I'm struggling, or it's been a hard day, or I'm feeling frightened or sensitive or lonely or sad, right? I could not show anybody that I was feeling that way back in the day when I was still drinking. I created I think I believed, because that's what that is vulnerability. And I think what I believed is if I showed that, I'd be rejected. I think that was the belief behind it. I was very, very scared of vulnerability. Now, that's a whole other thing we have to talk about. Learning how to be vulnerable safely. It's essential to living the life that you want to live. Now, vulnerability terrified me because, again, I thought I'd get rejected. I thought because vulnerability is showing what's really going on inside of you. And I thought that if you saw what was really going on inside of me, that would be awful and repulsive, and I would be rejected. So all of this just built up, and it's just like there was a storage locker inside of me where I just pushed all this stuff down and pushed it down and pushed it down, pushed it down. Meanwhile, on the outside, pretending everything was okay. And it's like the cracks begin to show. And you can see this in other people. Human behavior is very, very honest. Human behavior doesn't lie. So you can tell what's going on with someone by how they behave, right? You may not have my experience or qualifications, but when you know someone really well, you're like, hey, how you doing? They're like, yeah, I'm fine. You're like, no, they're not. You know, because we can all read other people. We can all read behavior. So this is the bit that's got to change. This is where we have to learn emotional sobriety, the tools, the skills of emotional sobriety, because this emotional unmanageability is begging for an anesthetic. It's begging for an anesthetic. Alcohol, drugs, food, sugar, screens, attention, shopping, gambling. It just needs an anesthetic, and it's relentless and it will not stop. So we have to have, we need to have, this is why we have to learn how to be emotionally sober, because otherwise we will remain, it doesn't matter, stopping drinking is not enough. 10% not drinking alcohol, 90% emotional sobriety. Otherwise, we will have to continue to live with this emotional unmanageability, and that is no way to live. Let me know what you think in the comments below.